Wolves and your wealth, what do they have in common and what can you learn from them? Well, I heard a story the other day about a pack of wild wolves that emerged from a really long period of real starvation. Times had been tough, there'd been no rain, their population of their prey that they fed off had really dropped down, and they'd really struggled. There'd been this type of desperation and real struggling just to survive. Some of their pack had died off, and then suddenly the rains came back and they went into a new area where there were the vast plains and there was a whole lot of elk and deer, and suddenly this wolf pack went and they got their first kill and they just devoured this kill, and that satiation was incredible, that ability just to feed again. And they went off, and in no time that wolf pack killed again. And then suddenly, they went and killed again. And this time they hardly even ate any of that carcass. And then they went and they started this crazy killing spree. And this is not just some sort of concept or metaphor. This is actually seen to happen repeatedly in the wild. Sometimes when there's been a real long period of drought or desperation or hardship, of deprivation, wild animals can end up going on these real killing sprees where they forget what the purpose of that hunt is. So that initial hunt satiates some of that deep hunger, but then the pleasure gets rewired in their brain and they think that that satiation comes from the actual hunt, from the killing activity, rather than from the feeding that that killing allows. And generally over time, that pack will start stabilizing. Their nervous system will start slowing down and they'll start to get back into right relationship with nature and start really wiring in that the hunt, the kill, is meant to then to be fed off, and then that nourishes them to live. The hunt itself is never meant to be the sole purpose. So what has this got to do with you and your financial well-being? Well, when you look at the pattern, for many people will go through periods of starving themselves financially. They're going to think, if I can just live off really little, not spend any money, then I'll be okay. If I can save and deprive myself. But I often talk about the anorexia phase of my own financial well-being. And so it can really be what we can't have, what we can't do, and deprivation. And what happens there's a point at which life can't keep sustaining, because the point is your life is meant to be lived. You're meant to have expression of yourself, your creativity, your basic needs, your desires, and money is one of those inputs that is used to nourish that. And so if we go through extended periods of deprivation, what can happen is suddenly something can trigger and people end up then going on these crazy spending sprees. Because here's the thing, our modern day hunt is to go shopping. Our modern day hunt is to spend money. And so often what can happen is when we're out of relationship and out of right relationship with our money and our spending, and we've been in this period of deprivation, suddenly people go off and go, oh, well, I deserve this. Or they'll suddenly go online and spend a whole lot of money and blow that credit card. And so they'll go in these extreme cycles of deprivation and then binging, anorexia, trying to control themselves, and then out of control. And the point with your money is to get to a place of balance where you understand that you go out and you choose to hunt, you choose to spend money you have for the point of feeding you, never just for the sake of spending itself. And many people, not most people, but a lot of people get hooked into believing that the act of the spending, that kill, is the thing that gives them this dopamine hit, this joy. Instead of saying, hang on, the whole point of exchanging money for something is to get value from that something. So a lot of us can tend to have this tendency in some area of our life. Maybe for you, you end up buying books that you never read. Maybe it's clothes that you don't wear and you go and you get hooked by that sales mentality. Maybe it's gadgets, maybe it's power tools, maybe it's camera equipment. Maybe it's food. Maybe you hoard in that side. And what can happen is we can feel safe, or we've now got that hunt, we've spent that money, we get that little dopamine hit, but we're not in right relationship now with the whole consumption cycle. The whole point of spending money is to get value from the thing that you've exchanged it for. So I'd really encourage you to look at where in your life are you currently like that starving wolf pack? Where are you out of balance with this relationship of the killing, the hunt for the sake of the pleasure, as forgetting what the point of it, which is about actually consuming and using what you're coming into your life? And do you need to get back into right relationship? Because nobody wants to be that starving wolf. You want to get in right relationship with your consumption, with your spending, with your earning, and that value exchange from money. So if you've been a starving wolf in the past, and in fact they've also found that this will happen with lion prides as well when they've been in periods of starvation. Where is that showing up in your life? And how can you slow down and really notice what's going on? Because that's always the first step. We need to notice first that there is a dysfunctional pattern, that, wow, hang on, we've got out of sync. And our brains have started misunderstanding the nourishment that we get from being able to consume the things that we spend money on versus just the spending itself. Great, that's the first awareness. And that is the first step, because then you can go, okay, I need to calm down. I need to get my nervous system in sync so that I can actually start getting value from this exchange I'm doing. And just this thing itself will absolutely transform your life, because this is how it starts becoming conscious about what we consume, what we spend, and we get so much more value from those things. And then we end up actually spending way less, because I would say for many people in our modern day life, we're so busy, we're so dashing around, that so much of where our money is spent, we don't actually get value from it. And this is how you get more, because at the end of the day, it's not about having more money. It's about having what money can give us. It's about experiences. It's about feeling filled up in life. It's feeling nourished by not only food, but by environment and our experiences. So we have fully expressed life. That's the point. And so we need to come back and remember that the hunt, the spend, is in order to nourish us. It's never for that spend and the hunt in itself. So I'm Anne Wilson, and if you've been watching this anywhere over than at thewealthchef.com, head on over there, and I'd love to know in the comments below, where in your past or now have you been like a hungry wolf pack? Where have you either consumed or spent, and in which area of your life, in order to fill yourself up, feel good, but you've actually got out of relationship with that? And what can you do to change that? I'd really love to know in the comments below. With that awareness, you can then change. And remember, money is meant to serve you. It's meant to support you in living your greatest, juiciest, richest life. And you can learn how to be great with money. It's a learned skill. So keep taking those baby steps, keep learning, and get on living your great, rich, juicy life.